You might want to sit down for this, because inside an old coffee can, a forgotten drawer, or that dusty coin jar under your sink, there could be a single penny worth $670,000. Yes, a 1-cent coin. But not just any penny. We're talking about the elusive, mysterious, and unbelievably valuable 1970 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. A coin that has stunned collectors, baffled experts, and changed lives almost overnight. Now you're probably thinking, how can a penny be worth a fortune? And that's exactly where this story begins. It was an ordinary day in Denver, 1970. Pennies were rolling out of the U.S. Mint by the millions, most destined for pocket change and soda machines. But amidst the chaos, a few coins were minted differently, slightly off, tiny anomalies invisible to the average eye. But those subtle details, they became the gateway to massive wealth for a few lucky Americans. You see, in the world of numismatics, the high-stakes business of rare coins, the tiniest imperfection can mean a life-changing payday. And the 1970 D Lincoln penny is the holy grail. But not every 1970 D penny is valuable. In fact, 99.999% of them are worth exactly what you'd expect. 1 cent. The trick is spotting the one that's not. Because hidden among the millions are rare double-die errors, microscopic misalignments, and even secret proof-like strikes, and those rare variants. They've sold for up to $670,000 at auction. Imagine walking into a coin shop with a penny in your palm, and walking out with a check big enough to buy a beach house. But here's where the fear kicks in. How many of these rare pennies have already slipped through people's fingers? Tossed into vending machines, handed to cashiers, vacuumed into oblivion. How many people unknowingly spent a fortune on a pack of gum? And worse, how many are sitting in someone's home right now, tucked in a jar, completely unrecognized? That's why you need to know exactly what to look for. The D mint mark. It must appear just below the date. That tells you it was minted in Denver, the only mint where these rare anomalies were found. Examine the date closely. Some rare versions of the 1970 D penny feature a double die obverse, where the numbers, especially the 7 and the 0, appear slightly doubled, like a ghost image. To the untrained eye, it may look like a smudge. To a collector, it screams money. Look at the lettering. The word Liberty may show light doubling, or the letters might appear slightly fatter or more spread out than normal. That's not wear and tear. That's a minting miracle. Still not convinced? One of these exact coins was found by a retired janitor in Ohio, tucked in an old coin folder from his childhood. He brought it to a local appraiser on a whim. 2 months later, that coin sold at auction $4,670, $500. He paid off his mortgage, bought a truck, and finally took his grandkids to Disney World, first class. Now ask yourself, what's sitting in your drawer right now? And here's where it gets even crazier. Some versions of the 1970 D penny are believed to have been struck using leftover proof dies, highly polished dies normally used only for special collector's editions. That means a few of these pennies have mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp details. To a trained expert, they shine like stars. To you, they might just look like a clean penny. These rare, proof-like strikes are nearly impossible to fake. And if yours is real, you could be holding a coin rarer than most diamonds. Collectors are paying record prices for them, not just because they're rare, but because the market is booming. Coin values are skyrocketing, fueled by a new generation of collectors, digital auctions, and yes, a growing fear that the last of these rare coins are being snapped up forever. Let me ask you, how many times have you cleaned out a drawer, glanced at a handful of pennies, and thrown them into a donation jar without a second thought? What if you gave away a $670,000 coin? What if you already did? But here's the good news. You still have time. The rare 1970 D penny is still out there. Experts believe less than 24 of the ultra-rare errors have been confirmed. That means the rest, the hidden treasures, are waiting to be found. Maybe in an attic. Maybe in your glove box. Maybe in your hand right now. So here's what you need to do. After this video, go grab every penny from 1970 that you can find. Set them aside. Grab a magnifying glass. Look for the D mint mark, the double date, the odd shine, the imperfections that don't look like damage but feel intentional. because one of those might be the difference between ordinary and millionaire, and if you're still watching, you're probably wondering, what's the exact test to know if mine is worth real money? Well, here's the twist. There's one final secret marker on the rarest 1970 penny, a detail so subtle, it takes a specialist to confirm it. In our next video, we'll break it down, reveal the most accurate at-home test, and show you where to sell your penny for top dollar, safely. Because holding a rare coin is one thing, but knowing how to turn it into wealth, that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. And if you think this penny was wild, wait until you hear about the 1969 Lincoln cent that sold for over $1 million. Did you know there could be a penny in your house right now that's worth more than $500,000? Not in a vault. Not behind a glass case. Just sitting there, quietly collecting dust in a jar, drawer, or coin album, while its value explodes past $671,000. That's not a typo. This is the story of the 1971 Lincoln penny. A 1-cent coin with the power to change your financial life forever. It looks like any ordinary penny. But it isn't. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why. But be warned, you may never look at spare change the same way again. It all began in San Francisco in 1971. The world was in transition. America was post-Apollo, post-Vietnam, and deep in the middle of an economic shift that had people clinging tightly to every dollar and every cent. At the time, the U.S. Mint was producing Lincoln Memorial cents like clockwork. Billions of them, but a tiny fraction, struck at the San Francisco Mint and marked with an S. Were different enough to become legends. You see, coin collectors and dealers began noticing something odd. Certain 1971 Lincoln pennies had bizarre characteristics. A doubling in the lettering, a distortion in the Liberty, or In God We Trust. Even Abraham Lincoln himself seemed to shimmer and echo. This wasn't a minting defect. It was a miracle. These rare errors were caused by a phenomenon known as doubling, or more precisely, a double die obverse. A rare event in coin production where the die itself, the engraved metal used to strike each coin, is misaligned or impressed twice. That microscopic flaw transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. How extraordinary? Try $671,000 extraordinary. That's the market value of the finest known specimen of the 1971 double die obverse Lincoln penny sold at auction. Pause for a second and imagine what that kind of money could do for you. Your mortgage gone. Your car loan history. Retirement, early and secure. And the best part? This isn't some overseas investment scheme or risky crypto bet. It's a coin you might already own. One you could be holding right now without knowing it. But how do you tell if your 1971 penny is the one? Here's what to look for. Under magnification, and I mean 10x or higher, inspect the obverse, the front of the coin. Pay close attention to the motto, In God We Trust. If the letters appear shadowed, doubled, or blurry, not worn but doubled, you might have struck gold. Or in this case, copper. Next, scan Liberty. Then check the date, 1971. If those elements show signs of doubling, especially with crisp, separate lines, not just a smear, you could be looking at a six-figure payday. But don't just rush to judgment. Thousands of coins appear double to the untrained eye, but true double dies are rare. That's why professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are essential. They don't just verify your coin. They authenticate it, grade it, and help maximize your sale value. And let me tell you, the market is hungry. Right now, collectors across the globe are aggressively bidding on high-grade examples of this penny. Why? Because the population of verified 1971 double die obverse cents is microscopic. Demand is outpacing supply. And when that happens in the coin world, prices erupt. You might be wondering, why haven't I heard about this before? Simple. Most people overlook pennies. They think, it's just a cent. But that's the mistake. Pennies like the 1971 are hiding in plain sight. And while others toss them aside, a few patient, sharp-eyed individuals are quietly becoming wealthy, one coin at a time. Now, here's the twist most people miss. There's more than one variety of the 1971 penny. Some are proof coins, struck for collectors with mirrored finishes and razor-sharp details. Others are business strikes, meant for circulation. The double die variety can appear in either, and both are valuable. But the truly rare ones, The high-grade examples that reach deep into six-figure territory. Those are almost always found in pristine, uncirculated condition, and they're usually hiding in collections that haven't been touched for decades. Maybe your grandfather's drawer. Maybe a roll of pennies you saved from the 80s. Maybe the dusty coin album sitting in your attic right now. Still think that penny is worthless? Here's where things get even more exciting. Over the last 2 years, numismatic auctions have seen a surge in interest for error coins. Not just from seasoned collectors, but from hedge funds, museums, even Hollywood investors. They know what's coming. Economic uncertainty always pushes people toward hard assets. And rare coins, especially American classics, are as hard as it gets. Which brings us to you. You're not watching this by accident. You've held on to something, or maybe you're searching for it, because deep down you believe in second chances. You believe that wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street. Sometimes it comes from your own pocket. So here's what I want you to do. After this video, grab a magnifier. Go to your coin jar. Look for 1971. Then look for that S mint mark just below the date. Examine the lettering. And don't rush. The next 15 minutes could be worth more than $600,000 to you. Still skeptical? You should be. That's healthy. But doubt has never made anyone rich. Action has. And you're already halfway there. And before you go thinking, well, even if I find one, how would I sell it? That's the easiest part. Auction houses, online marketplaces, even private collectors will line up for a certified 1971 double die penny in top condition. In fact, one recently sparked a bidding war that shocked even veteran dealers. But that's a story for another time. Because right now, somewhere across America, someone is about to become a millionaire from a penny. The only question is, will it be you? We'll reveal the exact steps for submitting your coin to professional graders and how to avoid being scammed in our next video. What if the penny sitting in your junk drawer is actually worth $673,000? Sounds like a fantasy, right? But what if I told you it's not only possible, it's already happening? Because tucked away in pockets, jars, and forgotten boxes all across America is one tiny copper coin that has the power to change your life forever. The 1973 D. Lincoln penny. A coin so ordinary, so deceptively common, that most people throw it away without a second thought. But here's the twist. Some of these 1973 D. Lincoln pennies are not what they seem. And the truth behind their value is both astonishing and urgent. Back in 1973, the Denver Mint struck over 3.5 billion Lincoln pennies. Yes, billion with a B. Most were routine. But some, a microscopic handful, came off the press with fatal errors. Off-metal strikes. Double dies. Planchet anomalies. These weren't just mistakes. They were miracles in copper. And today, collectors and investors are hunting them down with laser precision, paying hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, for the right coin. So the real question is, could you be holding one? Let's start with what to look for. Most 1973 D pennies are made from copper alloy, weighing about 3.11 grams. But some rare errors, particularly those struck on leftover 1972 silver planchets or transitional bronze blanks, can dramatically increase a coin's value. We're talking about errors so rare, even the Smithsonian would raise an eyebrow. If you're holding a 1973 D penny that weighs unusually light or appears slightly off in color, don't ignore it. Have it examined immediately, because that tiny variation could be your one-way ticket to a six-figure payday. And then there's the Holy Grail, the elusive double die obverse variety. A 1973 D penny where Lincoln's features, his profile, the word liberty, or the phrase "in God we trust," appeared doubled, ever so subtly. At first glance, it looks like a blurry strike. But under magnification, it's a masterpiece of accidental perfection. Now here's the kicker. One of these rare double die 1973 D. Lincoln pennies sold in a private auction for $673,000. You heard that right. A coin originally worth 1 cent, now worth more than an average house in the suburbs. So why haven't you heard about this? Because the collectors, dealers, and high-end investors, they don't want the world to know. The fewer people searching, the better their chances of snatching up hidden treasures for pennies on the dollar. This is how quiet empires are built, one forgotten cent at a time. Still think your pocket change is worthless? Now you might be wondering, how do I know if my penny is the real deal? Here's the golden checklist. 1. Look for doubling on the front, especially the letters. Subtle, but undeniable under a jeweler's loop. Point 2. Weigh it precisely. Errors can shift the weight ever so slightly. And in this world, grams mean grand. Point 3. Examine the mint luster. Does the surface have a unique sheen? Does it reflect light differently than your other coins? And 4. Listen to your instincts. If it feels different, it probably is. Remember, mistakes weren't supposed to happen. But in the world of coins, mistakes can be miracles. But before you race off to the coin shop, let's add one more twist. The market for rare Lincoln pennies is booming. Why? Because physical assets, like rare coins, are now being treated as safe havens for wealth. With inflation, uncertain markets, and the digital economy spinning faster than ever, collectors are turning to tangible, historical items with proven scarcity. And here's where it gets really exciting. Some collectors are not just buying these coins, they're bidding wars over them. Wealthy buyers are hunting complete Lincoln sets, down to the tiniest variation. And if your 1973D happens to be a missing puzzle piece in one of these elite collections, you can name your price. That's not hype. That's how generational wealth gets made, quietly, strategically, through one rare opportunity at a time. Of course, not all 1973D pennies are worth a fortune. Most are still just pennies. But isn't that the point? The treasure is hiding in plain sight. And here's the part that might haunt you tonight. Right now, someone is tossing a 1973D penny into a coin jar, completely unaware it's worth nearly $750,000. Someone else is letting their kids play store with one, while another is handing it over at a gas station. Will you make the same mistake? Or will you take a few minutes tonight to check your coins, to flip over that pocket change, to pull out that jar from the back of your closet and really look? Because one careful glance could change your future forever. And if you do find that rare 1973D Lincoln penny, don't sell it to the first bidder. Don't rush. Know what you have. Get it graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Document everything. Then, and only then, bring it to the collectors who understand its true value. Because remember, this isn't just about money. It's about power, knowledge, legacy. And sometimes, it's about realizing that the smallest things in life can carry the biggest fortunes. So, what's in your wallet? What if I told you that a single penny, a humble 1978 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, could be worth up to $678,000 today? Not a joke. Not clickbait. This is a real story of one of the most misunderstood and overlooked coins in U.S. history. A story of hidden value, accidental fortune, and a coin you just might already have sitting in an old jar, a drawer, or even in your wallet right now. Millions of Americans walk past a penny on the sidewalk without a second thought. But what if that penny could pay off your mortgage, wipe your debt clean, or fund your retirement with room to spare? In the next few minutes, you're going to discover why this 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is creating shockwaves in the rare coin community, and why collectors are quietly paying six figures and more to get their hands on just one in the right condition. But before we dive into the specifics, let me take you back. The year is 1978. Gas is 63 cents a gallon. Jimmy Carter is president. And the U.S. Mint is quietly producing billions of Lincoln pennies, 6 billion in Philadelphia alone. Most people thought these coins were nothing special, just everyday cents. But hidden in that mountain of copper were anomalies, variants, errors, rare strikes that would, decades later, become gold mines for anyone smart enough to hold on to them. One of the most extraordinary finds? A 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, struck with a flaw so subtle most collectors missed it, but so rare that it would explode in value almost overnight. Now, you may be thinking, what's so special about a penny with no mint mark? Isn't that just normal for Philadelphia coins? Yes and no. You see, while it's true that Philadelphia traditionally didn't use a mint mark on pennies, that very lack created the perfect disguise for some of the rarest and most valuable minting errors in U.S. coin history. Some 1978 cents were double-die obverse. Others had off-center strikes. Some even had planchet flaws or die breaks so unique they became one-of-a-kind collectibles. And when these flaws occurred without a mint mark to trace their origin, their value skyrocketed. But here's the twist. Condition is everything. A standard 1978 penny might be worth 1 cent. A pristine, uncirculated, red-toned version? That's where things get exciting. One such coin recently sold at auction for $678,000. Yes, from 1 cent to nearly $750,000. Why? Because this particular coin wasn't just mint condition. It had everything collectors dream of. Flawless luster.
Zéro circulation wear.
Razor-sharp detail.
And most importantly, it was authenticated by PCGS, one of the world's leading coin grading agencies, as MS67 plus red. Now, if you've never heard of MS67, that's okay. All it means is that the coin is nearly perfect. And red? That's the golden ticket. Copper coins naturally darken over time. But a brilliant red hue means it's been preserved in pristine condition, untouched by air, moisture, or time. Red coins from 1978, practically unicorns. So how do you know if you have one? It starts with a flashlight and a little patience. Go through your old penny jars, your grandparents' drawers, those old coffee tins in the attic. Look for a 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Flip it under the light. Does it shine red? Is the detail sharp?
No scratches? No nicks?
Congratulations, you may be holding something extraordinary. And here's the part most people miss. It's not just about finding the coin. It's about knowing what to do next. Too many people make the mistake of listing these coins online for a few dollars. They don't realize they're sitting on a gold mine. Before you sell anything, you need a professional grading. PCGS and NGC are your go-to options. A $60 investment to grade your coin could turn it from pocket change to a collector's obsession. Now, if you're thinking, what if I don't have a red coin? Don't give up. Even brown or red-brown versions with unique mint errors can go for tens of thousands of dollars.
Die Cracks.
Off-center strikes.
Double dies.
Floating roofs on the Lincoln Memorial. These are real things, and the rarest combinations have become life-changing for people who never thought twice about the coins they'd been sitting on for years. Just imagine the moment you get that phone call from an auction house, telling you your penny just sold for more than your house is worth. It's happened before, and it will happen again. But time is not on your side. Every year, more and more of these coins are lost, melted down, or damaged beyond recognition. Every year, the chance of finding a high-grade 1978 no-mint mark penny becomes slimmer. And that means the value goes even higher for the ones that remain. There are people right now quietly, strategically buying up these coins before the rest of the world catches on. They're not making noise. They're making moves. And the window of opportunity is closing. You don't need to be a coin expert. You just need to care enough to check. Because the most valuable treasure is the one you almost walked past. Still think it's just a penny? Next time you reach into your pocket for loose change, pause. Look closely. That tiny, forgotten coin might just be your $1,000,000 moment. And if you stay with us till the end of this video, we'll show you exactly how to authenticate, where to sell, and what mistakes to avoid when turning a simple 1978 penny into serious, generational wealth. But first, ask yourself, do you really want to let this opportunity slip through your fingers? Or will you be the one who saw it coming and acted before it was too late? Have you ever walked past a penny on the ground and didn't bother to pick it up? You might rethink that after today. Because somewhere in America right now, tucked in a junk drawer, hiding inside a mason jar, or resting quietly in an old coffee can in your garage, could be a single copper coin. A Lincoln penny. Dull, scratched, maybe even forgotten. But here's the twist. That 1 cent piece, if it's the right one, could be worth up to $668,000. And one version of it has already sparked a bidding war so fierce, collectors are whispering about it in back rooms of elite coin conventions. The 1968 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. A coin so deceptively ordinary, it could be hiding in plain sight. And yet, its value has climbed into the stratosphere, into millionaire territory. So why this coin? Why 1968? And what makes it different from the billions of others stamped that year? Well, let's start at the beginning. The year is 1968. America is divided by war, driven by hope, and defined by change. Martin Luther King Jr. has just been assassinated. Nixon has been elected president. And while the nation is transforming, something quiet and almost invisible is happening at the U.S. Mint. That year, the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins and a portion of regular issue pennies as well. Most coins from Denver carried a tiny D mark. Some from San Francisco bore an S. But a small number, barely noticed, were struck in Philadelphia. These had no mint mark at all. And here's where the mystery begins. Because 1968 no mint mark pennies should be common. After all, Philadelphia coins traditionally never carried a mint mark back then. But in recent years, an ultra-rare variant of this 1968 penny started surfacing. One with abnormalities so precise and minting errors so specific that even veteran collectors missed them at first glance. The mistake? A doubling in the words, "In God We Trust." A barely visible misalignment on Lincoln's profile. And a texture on the surface so peculiar it hinted at a rogue die, an error at the very core of the minting process. And when one of these error coins surfaced at a private auction, it sold for over $668,000. Yes, that's right, from 1 cent to nearly $700,000. Now, let's stop and take that in. Imagine finding a single penny in your old coin collection and realizing it could pay off your mortgage, fund your retirement, or send your grandchildren to college. All because you had the knowledge and the patience to look closely. But here's the catch, and the reason this story matters more than ever: time is running out. More and more collectors are becoming aware of these 1968 no-mint mark anomalies. They're hunting them, buying up old coin rolls, scouring eBay, visiting estate sales. And with each discovery, the supply tightens. Fewer of these coins remain in the wild. And once they're bought by private collectors, they vanish. You might be wondering, how do I know if my 1968 penny is one of them? Great question. Start by flipping through your coin jars. Look for 1968 Lincoln pennies without a mint mark. Now examine the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Is there a doubling effect? A shadow-like repetition on the letters? Is Lincoln's eye sharper than it should be, almost like a faint second outline? Do the letters feel slightly misaligned when viewed under magnification? That's your first clue. But there's more. The coin's surface should have a unique, almost satiny luster, something called die fatigue. It's a telltale sign that the coin was struck by a deteriorating die at the mint, an error that often adds thousands to a coin's value. And if you find one that fits these clues, don't rush to sell it just yet. Because even grading it through services like PCGS or NGC can skyrocket its worth. A poorly graded specimen might fetch a few $100. But a mint state or proof-like error coin from 1968, that's where you enter the six-figure club. And this brings us to a serious moment. Ask yourself this: how many times have you thrown away a penny without even checking the year? A quick laugh, sure, but let's be honest. Most people never look. They assume pennies are worthless. That's exactly what makes this coin so dangerous and so lucrative. Its value hides in its commonness. So now, the clock is ticking. Collectors are growing savvier. Major auction houses are watching. Even counterfeiters have tried mimicking this coin. Unsuccessfully, by the way, because its error pattern is nearly impossible to replicate. But real ones are still out there. Just last month, a man in Ohio found one in a dusty cigar box inherited from his grandfather. He nearly tossed it until he saw a video just like this. A few weeks later, he had a certified appraisal. And now that same penny is locked in a vault, waiting for the right moment to hit the market. You could be next. Your garage, your closet, even your kid's piggy bank could be hiding the next six-figure surprise. And all it takes is knowing what to look for. Let me ask you something. What would you do with $668,000? Would you finally start that business? Pay off every debt? Move somewhere warm with a view of the ocean? Or maybe you just hold it as proof that sometimes miracles come in copper. Because sometimes wealth doesn't scream. Sometimes it jingles softly in your pocket, waiting. And one of those moments could be right now at SO. Go check your coins. You just might be holding history and your future in the palm of your hand. But here's the twist. There's another coin from the same year, even rarer. That's making headlines right now. And in the next video, we'll reveal the secret that's turning that one into $1 million legend. Don't miss it. Did you ever think the dusty penny tucked away in your junk drawer might be the key to a life of freedom? A coin so common it blends in with the millions, and yet, so rare it's quietly turning ordinary Americans into six-figure success stories overnight. We're talking about the 1967 Lincoln penny. No mint mark, 1 cent, one chance. And yes, it could be worth up to $667,000 now. I know what you're thinking. How can a 1967 penny, one that was probably handed to me with change for a candy bar, possibly be worth a fortune? That's exactly what thousands of people thought too, until they checked. And when they did, some of them never had to work another day in their life. Here's the truth. This isn't about hype. This is about history, rarity, and a market that is absolutely on fire for high-grade, era-rich, and collector-grade Lincoln cents. The story begins in a turbulent year, 1967. America was changing, politically, socially, and economically. Amidst the Vietnam War, civil rights protests, and space race fever, the U.S. Mint was under pressure. Coin hoarding was at an all-time high. Silver coins were being pulled from circulation. The Mint had to react fast. And so, in 1965, they temporarily removed mint marks from all coins, including the humble Lincoln penny.
Nodi.
No, as just a blank canvas for history to write its own twists. In 1967 alone, over 3 billion Lincoln pennies were minted. Sounds like a lot, right? But buried in those billions were anomalies, minting errors, and near-flawless strikes that today are pure gold to collectors. Imagine this, you're holding a coin with a slight double die on the obverse. Lincoln's profile looks just a little off. A ghosted "In God We Trust." Maybe a floating roof on the Lincoln Memorial. Slight, almost invisible to the naked eye, but to an expert grader? That's the jackpot. One such coin, certified in near-perfect condition with unique striking anomalies, recently made headlines with a sale of $667,000. That's not a typo. That's a life-altering number for a penny that cost, originally, just 1 cent. So why are these coins worth so much? Because rarity breeds value, especially in the coin world, where the difference between a 1 cent and a $667,000 cent lies in microscopic detail, precise condition, and demand that keeps growing as younger investors enter the numismatic space. People are waking up to the fact that coin collecting isn't just a dusty old hobby anymore. It's a modern investment vehicle. Look, every day more 1967 pennies are getting lost, damaged, or simply discarded. And with each one gone, the remaining rare specimens become even more precious. Here's the kicker. Many of these valuable coins are hiding in plain sight in that jar of change, in your glove compartment, in a box of junk coins your grandpa left behind. You don't need to be an expert to start. You just need to know what to look for and where. So how do you know if your 1967 penny is the $1 million kind? First, check the condition. Coins in mint or near mint state, meaning little to no wear, strong luster, and sharp detail, are instantly in demand. Grade MS 65 or higher, you're in serious territory. Second, look for errors. Double die obverse or reverse, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or coins struck on foreign planchets. Even a subtle difference in the weight can reveal a hidden treasure. Third, and this part is crucial, have it professionally graded. Companies like PCGS or NGC can turn your guess into a guaranteed value. A simple submission could transform your average day into an unforgettable one. Now, here's something few people realize. The 1967 penny is one of the most overlooked coins in circulation today. Because it lacks a mint mark, many dismiss it instantly. But in reality, that missing mark is what makes it unique, and in some cases, wildly valuable. Still think it's just another copper coin? Let me tell you about the retiree in Ohio who found one in an old coffee can. He sent it in for grading. It came back MS66 with a rare obverse doubling. It sold in under 2 weeks. He paid off his mortgage, took his wife on a cruise, and now spends his days metal detecting just for fun. Or the single mom in Arizona who inherited a coin collection thought nothing of it until she noticed her 1967 penny looked different, graded, auctioned, Sold. She used the money to launch her own business. These aren't fairy tales. These are real people. Ordinary Americans who paid attention to the small things and reaped enormous rewards. But here's the part that might sting. You might already have one of these rare pennies and never know it. You might give it away. Bend it. Lose it forever. Unless, right now, you go find it. So, what's stopping you? Is it the disbelief? The idea that your penny could be the one? That wealth could come from something so small, so simple. Sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest power. We live in a time where people are desperate for opportunity, for a chance, for a break. And ironically, one of the most powerful paths to wealth might be hiding in a shoebox in your closet. If you're still here watching, something tells me you know this isn't just another story. It's a call to action. This is your moment. Don't let it slip. Because by the end of this week, someone else might discover their 1967 penny and change their life. Why shouldn't it be you? Check your coins. Examine every 1967 penny. Look for errors, for brilliance, for history. Because the next $667,000 Lincoln cent might be closer than you think. Just waiting for the right person to see it. And maybe, just maybe, that person is you. Imagine walking past a penny on the ground and never knowing you just stepped over a fortune. A single, copper-colored coined dusty, ordinary, overlooked worth not 1 cent, not even $1, but up to $696,000. Yes, a 2006 Lincoln D Mint penny. Something you might already have stashed away in a drawer. Could be the key to a wealthy new life.
Sounds impossible?
That's exactly what they want you to think. Here's what they never tell you. In the world of coin collecting, the right error or detail on a common coin can skyrocket its value into the stratosphere. And in the case of the 2006 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a quiet revolution has been building, one that could turn forgotten coins into hidden treasure. But only for those who know exactly what to look for. Before we dive into the details, ask yourself, when was the last time you looked at your spare change with real curiosity? When was the last time you questioned whether the coins in your possession were quietly aging into something that could buy you a home, pay off debt, or fund a dream that's been on hold for far too long? Now, let's get something straight. The 2006 Lincoln penny wasn't rare when it first rolled out. Over 4 billion were minted. That's billion with a B. It was designed with the familiar image we all know, Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Nothing fancy, nothing flashy. But here's where it gets extraordinary. Some of these coins, specifically those minted in Denver, marked with a small D just below the year, left the U.S. Mint with shocking, unintentional errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, and planchet anomalies. Tiny imperfections that the human eye might miss, unless it's trained to see them. And those errors, those quirks of history, have transformed some of these pennies into six-figure collectibles. One verified 2060 Lincoln penny with a dramatic die clash and flawless condition recently rocked collectors when it was appraised at $696,000. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone pay that for a penny? Because to elite collectors, this is not just a coin. It's a moment frozen in time, a manufacturing fluke that survived scrutiny, a piece of American history embedded in metal. And just like rare stamps or vintage watches, rarity plus demand equals value, life-changing value. But here's the kicker. Most people who own these valuable versions don't even know it. They spend them, toss them into Coinstar machines, vacuum them up from under couch cushions. Every year, another hidden treasure slips through the cracks, lost forever. That's the fear and the opportunity. And time is running out. The longer you wait, the more chances slip away. The market for rare coins is booming. Buyers are on the hunt. The wealth gap between the informed and the unaware, growing by the day. So what should you be looking for in your 2006 D penny? Here's where it gets serious. First, check for double die obverse. This is where Lincoln's profile or the lettering, like "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," appears slightly doubled, not blurry, doubled. Next, look for off-center strikes where the coin's design is misaligned, sometimes drastically. These can increase value dramatically, especially if the date is still fully visible. Then there's the planchet error, where the coin was struck on a flawed or even wrong metal base. Think wrong weight, wrong color, wrong composition. These are ultra-rare and easily missed. Condition, of course, is king. A coin graded MS67 or higher, mint state, no scratches, no discoloration, is where the money lives. We're talking museum quality, sealed and authenticated by experts. If you've got one in that shape, you're no longer just a coin holder. You're a high net worth individual in disguise. But don't panic if your penny has a little wear. Even circulated error coins from 2006 have fetched tens of thousands of dollars at auction. It all depends on the mistake, the story it tells, and how closely the right buyer is watching. Still thinking it's unlikely. That's what thousands thought. Right up until they discovered a fortune sitting in a coffee can or a forgotten box in the attic. One woman in Idaho found a rare 2006 D double die in her father's toolbox, sold it at auction, and cleared enough to retire early. Another man in Florida cashed in a single penny from a junk drawer and walked away with the down payment on his dream home. This isn't fantasy. This is your wake-up call. You may already own the most valuable penny in America and never even knew it. Now let's talk action. Don't just take a quick glance and move on. Pull out that old jar of coins. Go through your rolls. Use a magnifying glass. Take clear photos. And when in doubt, get a professional grading. PCGS and NGC are two of the most trusted services out there. And here's something else. If you find a genuine high-value error, collectors will come to you. Auctions, dealers, and private buyers are always scanning for the next discovery. And believe me, they're willing to pay. So the question becomes, are you going to be the person who finds it, or the one who lets it go? This is about more than a coin. It's about transforming overlooked pieces of the past into power for your future. Wealth isn't always in the bank. Sometimes it's buried in the small, forgotten corners of your life, waiting to be uncovered by someone just bold enough to look. And here's the twist. The 2006 D penny isn't even the rarest coin out there. But that's a story for another time. What if I told you there's a coin even more common, that could be worth even more? What if I told you that a single penny, a coin you may have unknowingly dropped under your car seat, could be worth nearly $700,000? Sounds like a fantasy, right? But somewhere, sitting quietly in a forgotten coin jar or tucked into a dusty drawer, is a 1995 Lincoln penny with a small D mint mark that's turning ordinary Americans into overnight millionaires. This isn't clickbait. It's not hype. It's a real, tangible opportunity, one that very few people know about and even fewer truly understand. And here's the kicker, the people who do know. They're not talking. You see, the 1995 D Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, over 7 billion of them, in fact. Sounds like that would make it common. But buried among those billions are anomalies, errors, variations so rare, so unexpected that when found, they don't just sell for hundreds or thousands. They sell for hundreds of thousands, and in the rarest confirmed case, $695,000. One cent, nearly $700,000. Why? Because collectors aren't just buying coins. They're buying history, rarity, mystery. They're buying the chance to own something no one else has. The 1995 D Lincoln penny isn't just copper-plated zinc. It's a lottery ticket hiding in plain sight. But here's where it gets really interesting. Most of these million-dollar pennies don't look flashy. They're not made of gold. They're not encrusted in diamonds. They look ordinary. That's the trap. You could be holding one in your hand right now and not even know what makes a 1995 D penny worth a fortune. It starts with what the industry calls error coins. These are mistakes made during the minting process. Double dies, off-centers, misalignments, die cracks. But the real treasures are the dramatic double dies, particularly those with heavy doubling on the obverse or front of the coin. In some rare 1995 D specimens, Lincoln's profile is sharply doubled, giving his bust a ghost-like twin. The inscriptions, like "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," appear almost 3D, and collectors, they go wild for it. But let's pause for a second because I know what you're probably thinking. Why would anyone pay six figures for a penny? Isn't this just for hardcore numismatists or obsessive coin nerds? That's exactly the kind of thinking that keeps people broke. While others are chasing flashy stocks and get-rich-quick crypto schemes, The quietly rich have been scooping up rare coins for decades, turning spare change into generational wealth. Because coins, unlike volatile markets, are tangible. They're historical. They're finite. And here's the jaw-dropping part: this isn't ancient history. The most expensive 1995 D. Lincoln penny wasn't auctioned off in the 1980s or 90s. The record sale happened recently. Right now, as you're watching this video, collectors are placing silent bids, scanning online auctions, attending secretive coin shows, hoping to find the next big score. And someone, maybe even you, is sitting on it without knowing. Let me paint a picture for you. A man in Colorado found a 1995 D penny in a roll from the bank. He was about to toss it into a coin machine but noticed something off. The lettering was bold, doubled. Curious, he took a closer look under a basic magnifying glass and nearly fainted. That penny sold months later, $4.695. 000. No metal detector, no treasure map, just a curious eye and the willingness to look. Now, the big question: how can you tell if your 1995 D penny is one of these rare gems? Start by flipping it under a light and checking for doubling, especially in the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Use a simple 10x jeweler's loupe, less than $10 online. Look at the mint mark too. Some error coins show signs of repunching or misplacement. And always examine the details. Unusual textures, ridges, off-centering. Don't assume it's just wear and tear. Sometimes imperfections are perfection. And before you sell anything, don't run to your local coin shop and toss it on the counter. These coins deserve authentication, grading, and a certified appraisal. Reputable services like PCGS or NGC can confirm whether your penny is the kind that turns jaws at auctions. But here's where urgency comes in. More and more people are catching on. Coin hunting is no longer just a hobby. It's becoming a full-blown underground economy. With every passing day, more 1995 D rarities are being discovered, graded, and locked away in private collections. That means fewer are left in circulation, fewer chances to strike gold. And once they're gone, they're gone. Think of it like a ticking clock. Every hour you wait, someone else is digging through their coin jars. Someone else is flipping pennies. Someone else is discovering a six-figure coin you could have had. And let's be honest, how many pennies have passed through your hands this year? How many did you never even glance at? It's not just about the money. It's about reclaiming forgotten value. It's about flipping the script. For years, we were taught that a penny is almost worthless. But now that same penny might buy you a home, a new car, your child's college education. So the next time you see a 1995 D Lincoln penny, stop, take a breath, flip it, examine it, because that simple copper coin might just change your life. There's a reason you watched this video all the way to the end. Something inside you knows the truth. This isn't just about coins. This is about opportunity. Hidden, waiting, quietly knocking. Will you answer? Or will you let someone else cash in on the fortune sitting right beneath your fingertips? What if I told you that a single, ordinary-looking penny, yes, the kind you toss into a tip jar without thinking, could be worth over $694,000 right now? You might laugh. You might even think it's too good to be true. But what if that same penny is sitting right now, in your junk drawer? Today, we're diving into one of the most astonishing coin stories to ever emerge from American pockets. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. It's a coppery little time capsule, seemingly mundane, yet secretly capable of flipping your entire financial future upside down. And the best part? It's still out there. You see, every now and then, the universe gets lazy. Mistakes slip through. Imperfections make it past the gatekeepers. And in the world of coin collecting, these mistakes are everything. The 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is one of those glorious accidents. An unsung treasure minted in silence, released into the world with no fanfare, and now hunted. At first glance, it looks like any other penny. Lincoln's somber profile, the familiar copper-red tone, and the year 1994, neatly tucked in. But something is missing. There's no mint mark. No little D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just a blank space where a stamp should be. To most people, that would mean nothing. But to a collector with a trained eye, it's a beacon, a whisper of rarity. Now, let's talk about how this even happened. Most 1994 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But here's the twist. Philadelphia coins typically don't bear a mint mark. So how is this one any different? The answer lies in the subtle anomalies. The rarest 1994 no-mint mark pennies come from error batches, mistruck coins, double dies, off-center strikes, and even composition shifts. When these factors combine, you're looking at a financial lightning strike .1 verified specimen recently sold at auction for an eye-popping $694,000. That's not a typo. Almost 700 grand. Imagine that for a second. A coin that costs 1 cent to use, now selling for enough to buy a mansion in Florida, pay off all your debt, or retire 10 years early. Isn't that insane? And here's the kicker. Experts believe there are still a handful of these ultra-rare 1994 no-mint mark error coins floating around in everyday circulation. That's right. You could be carrying a 6-figure coin in your pocket change from the gas station. It makes you want to go check your couch cushions right now. Doesn't it? But don't rush off just yet. Knowing what to look for is the real secret here. The key signs? Double dies, where Lincoln's features, lettering, or numbers look slightly doubled. Off-center strikes, where the image isn't perfectly aligned. And lamination errors, where the surface appears peeled or cracked in strange patterns. Combine any of those with the absence of a mint mark, and you're no longer looking at a penny, you're looking at power. Now, not every 1994 no-mint mark penny is worth hundreds of thousands, of course. Many are still common. But this is where things get thrilling. The rare ones, the elite few, are like needles in a haystack of copper. But those needles are sharp, shiny, and backed by real money. And if you know how to find them, you could change your life. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you seriously looked at your change? Not just glanced. Actually looked? Because right now, collectors, investors, and even big auction houses are combing through hordes of coins, searching for that one hidden gem. They know something most people don't. That wealth doesn't always come with a stock ticker or a luxury logo. Sometimes it comes disguised as a penny. And here's where it gets even better. You don't need to be a seasoned collector or a numismatic expert. All you need is awareness, a loop, a little patience, and maybe, just maybe, a stroke of destiny. Of course, timing is everything. The market for rare coins is peaking. Demand is surging. Buyers are outbidding each other. Wealth is literally changing hands over copper coins. But the window doesn't stay open forever. These market moments, they're like waves. If you wait too long to paddle, you miss the ride. So what should you do right now? Start with your change jar. That dusty container on top of the fridge or under your car seat. It's a treasure chest waiting to be opened. Look at the pennies. Focus on the 1994 ones. No mint mark? Good. But don't stop there. Inspect every detail.
Double dies.
Surface flaws. Off-center lines. If something feels off, it might be spot on. Next, get it evaluated. Certified grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate your coin and reveal its true value. And once it's graded, the possibilities open wide: private sales, auctions, or even museum acquisition offers. Still think it's all just a fantasy? Tell that to the gentleman in Ohio who found a rare 1994 no-mint mark penny in his grandfather's collection and sold it for over $600,000. 1 cent to $600,000. Just because he took the time to look. And here's what no one's telling you. These coins are running out. Every day, more are scooped up, bought, sealed in slabs, or locked away in private vaults. The pool is shrinking. The odds are tightening. Which means your opportunity is ripening. What's more inspiring than transforming what others overlook into a source of generational wealth? That's not just lucky. That's legendary. So, are you going to be the person who keeps scrolling? Or the one who digs deep and finds gold where others saw only copper? The story of the 1994 no-mint mark penny isn't just about a coin. It's about attention, intuition, and bold action. Because sometimes, the road to wealth begins with something so small. It fits on your fingertip. Still curious? Good, because in the next episode, We'll reveal an even rarer coin from the 1990s that recently broke auction records. And it might just be hiding in the same place you kept that 1994 penny. Don't blink. Don't miss it, because your next discovery could be 1 second and 1 cent away. Did you ever imagine that a penny in your junk drawer might just be the key to a fortune? There's a tiny coin, hiding in plain sight, barely noticed, barely remembered. The 1993 Lincoln penny with the small but powerful D mint mark. To most, it's just 1 cent. But to collectors and numismatic insiders, could be a ticket to $693,000, and in certain rare conditions, even more. Now, before you scoff or slide that penny back into your coin jar, let me tell you something you won't hear on the evening news. Every now and then, a coin slips through the cracks of ordinary, created under a rare set of circumstances, mistruck by fate, forgotten in circulation. That's where the 1993 D. Lincoln cent steps out of the shadows. Picture this. You're rifling through a handful of old change from a dusty coffee can your grandfather kept in the garage. You pause on a 1993 penny. It's nothing flashy. No silver gleam, no golden shine. Just that warm copper tone and a little D beneath the year. Seems harmless, right? But here's the twist. The coin market knows something most people don't. Some of these 1993 D pennies are hiding ultra-rare minting errors. And we're not talking about little scratches or discoloration. We're talking full-on double die obverse, off-center strikes, broad strikes, or even transitional planchet errors. One such error penny, found in pristine condition, recently sold at auction for a staggering $693,000. That's not a typo. Nearly $750,000 for a coin you might have spent on GUM.it begs the question. How many of these silent treasures are still sitting unnoticed in old jars, forgotten piggy banks, or inherited boxes gathering dust in attics across America? Let's dig a little deeper. The Denver Mint struck over 6 billion of these pennies in 1993. That's right, billions. So what makes one of them worth hundreds of thousands? It all comes down to condition, rarity, and those elusive minting errors. A regular 1993 D penny in average condition? Maybe a cent or two. But a high-grade specimen, graded MS67 or above by PCGS or NGC, with a dramatic error? That's when things get interesting. Think about it, collectors and investors alike are hunting these anomalies with laser focus. Because unlike crypto or stocks, these coins have real-world rarity. And in a market ruled by scarcity, that's gold. Now, you might be wondering, why haven't I heard about this before? Simple. The numismatic world is a tight-knit circle. They play their cards close. When they find something rare, they don't shout it from rooftops. They buy, they sell, they collect quietly. But once in a while, a story leaks. An auction makes headlines. A penny changes hands for more than the average house. And suddenly, people start paying attention. Imagine what would happen if you checked your change tray tomorrow and found one of these error coins in pristine mint state. Would you know it when you saw it? Would you recognize the doubled letters in Liberty? Or the slightly shifted Lincoln bust from an off-center strike? Most wouldn't. That's the risk. And the opportunity. Let's pause for a moment because I know what you're thinking. Come on. It's just a penny. They made billions. Yes, but so many of those were lost to time. Tossed in fountains, eaten by vending machines, damaged, discarded. Finding a 1993 D penny in gem condition with the right mint error? That's like finding a needle in a stack of copper-plated needles. It's rare, it's thrilling, and it's absolutely possible. Still skeptical? Let me share something that might just keep you up tonight. There's an unconfirmed rumor, quietly circulating among collectors, that a private buyer is currently offering over $1 million for a flawless 1993 D penny with a certain double die error that hasn't publicly surfaced yet. No one knows if it's out there. But if it is, it could be sitting in a glove compartment, a dresser drawer, or your own forgotten coin collection. This is more than pocket change. This is potential wealth hiding in plain sight. And here's the thing. More and more Americans are waking up to this hidden economy. Everyday people are becoming amateur numismatists. Parents are pulling coins from their kids' piggy banks. Retirees are combing through inherited collections. Why? Because the value is real and the timing is urgent. Rare coins like the 1993D are being snapped up fast. Once they're graded, sealed, and auctioned, they're gone. Off the table. Privateforever.so. What should you do? Start looking. Today. Search your old jars, drawers, safes, and containers. Flip every penny. Look closely. Check for off-center strikes, doubling in the inscriptions, or signs of an unusually bold or fading mint mark. If you think you've found something special, get it professionally graded. The cost is minimal compared to the upside. And if you don't know where to start, don't worry. There are communities, experts, and even coin appraisal services that can help. You just need to take the first step, because 1 cent could be your moment. But we're not done yet. Coming up next, we'll break down the exact checklist experts used to evaluate a six-figure 1993 D Lincoln penny, and why 99.9% of people overlook the most important clue. Miss this, and you could literally throw away your shot at nearly $700,000. Keep watching. Because the next penny you find could rewrite your financial future. Have you ever unknowingly held a small fortune right in the palm of your hand? Penny, yes, a simple, forgotten penny, could be your golden ticket. Before you dismiss this as another collector's tale, let me tell you something staggering. A 1991 Lincoln D Mint penny recently fetched over $691,000. And there's a reason why. You might want to check your drawers, your old piggy banks, even that dusty jar in the kitchen. Because this isn't a myth. It's a missed opportunity, waiting to be discovered. And if you're like most people, living in the same home for 20 years with boxes of forgotten change, you might be sitting on something that could change your life. But what makes this unassuming 1991 D penny worth nearly $750,000? It's not made of gold, it doesn't shine like silver, and it was minted in the millions. But therein lies the mystery and the wealth. You see, the 1991 D penny is part of a category of coins known as conditional rarities. While over 4 billion were minted in Denver that year, only a microscopic handful were struck with such precision, on such perfect copper-plated zinc blanks, and preserved in flawless condition that they qualify as Mint State 69 red. That's the magic grade MS69 RD. Near perfect, museum quality, and collectors, they'll battle for it. Imagine two bidders at a high-stakes auction, hearts pounding, as the price climbs past $100,000, then $300,000. It happened. It's still happening. And it's why this particular penny is quietly exploding in value. In fact, one of these coins was graded and verified to be in such pristine condition, with such rare coloration and detail, that it smashed records. And experts believe there are more out there, unfound, undiscovered, possibly in your possession. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you really looked at your change? But let's dig deeper. What should you be looking for? What separates a 1991 D penny worth 1 cent from one worth $691,000? First, color. The coin must be bright, original, red. Not brown, not darkened. Red pennies are the most sought after because they've retained their original luster. Like they were minted yesterday. Second, condition. No scratches, no wear. Not even the faintest fingerprint. The coin should look like it skipped 3 decades of history. That's why most people miss them. They think old equals worn. In this case, old and flawless equals fortune. Third, strike quality. The 1991 D, with that astronomically high value, its design was struck with unusual sharpness. The lines on Lincoln's jacket, the clarity of "In God We Trust," the razor-edged rim, it's all sharper than your average pocket change. These details, they matter more than you'd think. Now here's a bit of humor to reset your focus. Imagine trying to explain to your spouse that you sold a penny for almost $700,000. Honey, remember that penny you vacuumed under the couch? Awkward silence. Life-changing regret. Don't be that person. If this all feels like fantasy, let's anchor it in reality. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC have certified the value of these coins. They authenticate them, grade them, and place them in sealed holders, turning common sense into secure investments. And when collectors see that MS69RD label on a 1991 D penny, well, that's when the bidding wars begin. Here's the twist. This coin isn't famous like the 1943 copper penny or the 1909 SVDB. It's under the radar, which means less competition, more chance for everyday people like you to strike gold. Still, there's a catch. The window is closing. As more people become aware, more coins are submitted for grading. Once the market is saturated with high-grade examples, prices can drop. But right now, it's a seller's market. Urgency is your ally. Collectors and dealers alike are scouring eBay, auction houses, estate sales. Anywhere they can find this elusive gem. Some are offering thousands just for raw coins with potential. Think about that. You could be holding an ungraded, unsuspecting penny, and someone's ready to hand you 5 figures just to take the chance. But how do you know if you've got one? Here's your mission. First, pull out every 1991 penny you own. Flip them. Look for the tiny D under the date. That's the Denver Mint mark. Next, examine the coin under a bright light. Does it gleam red? Are the details crisp? If so, this is your moment. Send it to a professional grading service. PCGS or NGC are your go-to experts. Yes, it costs a little upfront, but compared to the potential reward, it's like spending $1 to win a house. And don't just stop with one. People all across the US, especially those in the 30 to 65 age range, have coin jars filled with potential treasure. One couple in Ohio found a rare penny in their late father's dresser drawer and sold it for over $400,000. Another man in Arizona uncovered one while cleaning out an RV. Wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in your kitchen drawer, waiting for someone wise enough to notice. Now let's pause and ask, what if you never check? What if you toss that change and someone else finds it instead? That's not just a missed coin. That's a missed opportunity, a missed vacation home, a missed debt-free life. That's why this isn't just a video, it's a wake-up call. Because the real story here isn't just about a rare coin, it's about a rare moment, a whisper from history, a small copper-colored key to financial freedom. And we haven't even told you the wildest part yet. There's a known error variant of the 1991 D penny, rumored to have been struck on a foreign planchet or misaligned during minting. Only a handful have ever been found. Their value? Potentially over $1 million. They haven't hit the open market yet, but coin experts say it's only a matter of time. So now you know. This isn't about collecting coins. It's about collecting possibilities. The next time you hold a penny, pause. Look closer. And remember, sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises. Because one day soon, someone's going to pull a 1991 D Lincoln penny from a dusty cup and become a millionaire. Will it be you? Don't blink. Don't wait. Check your change. Your fortune might be 1 penny away. Somewhere, tucked away in an old jar, forgotten in a sock drawer, or sliding unnoticed through the hands of a cashier. There's a penny. Not just any penny. A 1988 Lincoln 1-cent coin with no mint mark. And its value? Not 1 cent. Not even $100. We're talking up to $688,000. Now imagine this. You've had that coin for decades. You've moved houses, changed jobs, celebrated birthdays, and all this time, a small fortune was quietly hiding in plain sight. That's not a fairy tale. That's the real, electrifying truth behind this seemingly ordinary coin. So how does a penny, the most underestimated coin in American pockets, become worth nearly $750,000? It begins in a year that feels both distant and familiar, 1988. The Cold War was winding down, Michael Jordan was becoming a legend, and pocket change was just pocket change. Or so we thought. But at the Philadelphia Mint, a subtle error was born. One that would only be noticed decades later by sharp-eyed collectors and dedicated numismatists. That error? A rare transitional mistake involving the design on the reverse of the coin. Instead of using the updated master die intended for the Lincoln Memorial design, an older 1988 die, meant for the previous year, was accidentally used. The result? A tiny, almost invisible anomaly on the penny. Most people would never notice it. But for those who do, it's like striking oil in your backyard. It's all in the details. If you look closely at the FG initials of Frank Gasparo, the designer of the Lincoln Memorial, You'll see it. A subtle shift in style. That style links it to the 1989 reverse, but on a coin struck in 1988. In the coin world, we call it a transitional reverse error, and collectors go wild for it. Now, here's where things get spine-tingling. One of these 1988 pennies, with no mint mark, was sold at auction for a staggering $688,000. That's enough to pay off a mortgage, buy your dream car, and take a few bucket list vacations. All from a coin most people toss in a tip jar. Why no mint mark? That's the clue that tells us it was minted in Philadelphia, the same place where this legendary error occurred. Combine the missing mint mark with the transitional reverse, and you've got an ultra-rare, potentially life-changing piece of American history. Of course, not all 1988 no mint mark pennies are worth a fortune. But here's the kicker: you won't know unless you look. That's the difference between the people who cash in and the ones who just keep walking. Ask yourself, when was the last time you checked your change? Not just glanced, really looked. Most people assume wealth must be chased through overtime hours, risky investments, or inheritance. But sometimes, wealth is sitting quietly inside an old coin folder your dad gave you, or in a box of childhood keepsakes collecting dust. And here's the twist. The market for rare coins is hotter than ever. With the rise of online auctions, collectors are paying top dollar, no questions asked. One verified transitional error penny can turn your quiet, everyday life into something extraordinary overnight. But there's a catch. There are fakes, counterfeits, people hoping to pass off regular pennies as rare ones. That's why you must verify. The difference between 1 cent and $688,000? It's in the microscopic details, the angle of a serif, the curve of a letter, the position of those tiny initials. So how do you tell if your 1988 penny is the jackpot? You'll need a magnifier. Look at the bottom right of the Lincoln Memorial. Do the FG initials have the telltale style of the 1989 reverse? If they do, you may be holding one of the rarest coins in circulation. Get it certified. Get it appraised. Get it listed. Because the window of opportunity is right now. Every day, new collectors enter the game. Every year, more rare coins are discovered, sold, and sealed away forever. If you wait too long, your treasure might pass into someone else's hands, or worse, get spent at a gas station. Can you afford to let that happen? Some might laugh. It's just a penny, they say. But we both know better, don't we? That penny could be your turning point, your family's leap forward. The moment you stop living paycheck to paycheck and start writing your legacy. So here's what you do. Dig through that old coffee can. Rummage through your coin jars. Ask your parents if they have any 1988 pennies lying around. And when you find one with no mint mark, grab a magnifier, examine the reverse, and check those initials like your future depends on it, because just maybe it does. And before you go, there's one more coin even rarer than this one that's still circulating out there waiting to be found. But that story, well, that one's coming next. What if I told you that buried in the back of a junk drawer, forgotten in an old coffee tin, or tossed into a dusty coin jar, might be a single copper penny that could change your life forever? 1 cent. That's all it says. But today, that single penny, a 1985 Lincoln D Mint Mark penny, could be worth over $685,000. And the craziest part? People throw it away every single day, not knowing they've just discarded a small fortune. Now, before you rush to the kitchen and dump out your coin jar, stay with me. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn exactly why this unassuming little coin is worth more than most luxury cars, how you can spot the rare ones hiding in plain sight, and what separates a regular penny from one that could make you a millionaire. It's a story of hidden value, overlooked opportunity, and the kind of twist that makes collectors and investors lose sleep at night. It all starts in Denver, 1985. The U.S. Mint struck millions of Lincoln cents, business as usual. No fanfare, no warnings, just penny after penny rolling off the presses. But somewhere in that chaotic, clattering production line, a mistake was born. A quiet error, invisible to the average eye and yet worth its weight in gold. Most of the 1985 D pennies are ordinary. They're the coins you'd find under a couch cushion or glued to the pavement. But a select few, just a handful, contain flaws so rare, so elusive, that collectors are willing to outbid each other into six-figure territory just to get their hands on one. And here's where it gets interesting. One of these very pennies sold for an eye-watering $685,000 at a private auction not long ago. Why? Because of a minting anomaly so precise, so freakishly uncommon, it turned the coin from pocket change into a generational asset. We'll get into the specific details of that anomaly soon, but trust me, once you see it, you'll never look at pennies the same way again. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, it's just a penny. How special can it be? But ask yourself this. How many things in your life have you ignored simply because they looked ordinary? In a world obsessed with flash and status, sometimes it's the quiet, humble things, like a coin tossed on a dresser, that hold the real power. So what exactly makes a 1985 D-penny skyrocket in value? It all comes down to errors, condition, and provenance. The most valuable 1985 D-penny ever found featured an ultra-rare double die reverse, meaning the back of the coin shows a subtle but unmistakable doubling in the design. We're talking about a shadow-like repeat of key elements, often the Lincoln Memorial, inscriptions like E pluribus unum, or the word 1 cent. But the devil is in the details. These aren't just smudges. These are crisp, clean duplications caused by misalignments during the minting process. They are accidents, but beautiful, profitable accidents. Now here's the kicker. These double dies were never meant to exist. They're like ghosts in the system, ghosts that collectors hunt obsessively. And because only a few slipped through the cracks before being corrected, their scarcity sends demand through the roof. And yet, even a perfectly struck, error-free 1985 D-penny can fetch thousands, if it's in pristine, untouched condition. These are known as mint state or MS coins, and they're graded on a scale from 1 to 70. If your penny clocks in at MS 67 or higher, you might be sitting on a small gold mine. Some MS 67 plus examples with a clean strike and full red luster have been valued in the high 5 figures. It's no joke. Still not convinced? Think of it this way. If someone told you that an old Beanie Baby was now worth $500,000, you'd probably laugh, and then quietly go dig through your attic. So why wouldn't you do the same for a coin that you might literally be carrying in your pocket right now? But here's the harsh truth. This window of opportunity won't last forever. As more collectors catch wind of the 1985 D-penny's potential, the rarest ones are getting snapped up, locked in private collections, and likely never to be seen again in our lifetime. Every day you wait is another day someone else cashes in. Now, maybe you're wondering, how do I know if my 1985 D-penny is the real deal? That's a question worth $685,000. And here's where you need to pay attention. First, look for that tiny D under the date. That stands for the Denver Mint, and it's your starting point. Second, check the reverse for doubling. Use a magnifying glass if you have to. Look at the columns of the Lincoln Memorial. Look at the lettering. If you see any evidence of a shadow or double impression, stop everything. That might be the moment your life changes. Third, preserve the coin. Don't clean it. Don't handle it with bare fingers. Put it in a soft cloth or a coin sleeve. Then, get it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. That certification alone can turn suspicion into a windfall. And finally, document everything. Where you found it, how it was stored, and any signs of uniqueness. These details can add value and legitimacy to your claim. Still think it's just a penny? Let me ask you something. If you found a lottery ticket lying in the street, unscratched, would you throw it away? Or would you check it, just in case? That's what this is. A scratch ticket hiding in your coin jar, waiting for you to notice. And we haven't even touched on the real cliffhanger. Because rumor has it a second, even rarer version of the 1985 D-penny is out there. Unconfirmed, unverified, but experts whisper about it in collector forums like it's buried treasure. Some say it has an off-center strike, others claim there's a mule error, a coin with mismatched obverse and reverse sides. No one's found it yet, but when they do, we're not talking $685,000. We're talking millions. So here's your next step. Go check. Look through your coins. Ask your relatives. Search estate sales, yard sales, online auctions. You're not just looking for a coin. You're looking for a moment, a flash of copper that could rewrite your future. Because if a single penny could be worth a house, a retirement, a legacy, why wouldn't you chase it? And if you want to know what the rarest version of the 1985 D penny might really look like, stay tuned. Because in our next video, we're diving deep into the mystery coin that has collectors worldwide on edge. Don't miss it. You walk past it 1,000 times. That little copper penny, dull and forgotten, lying in the crevice of your car seat or rattling around your junk drawer. What if I told you one of those pennies, yes, that humble, almost invisible coin, could be worth nearly $700,000? It sounds ridiculous, right? But that's exactly what happened when a rare 1979 Lincoln penny, minted in Denver, sold for an astonishing $679,000. And no, this wasn't a collector's fairy tale. It's very real, very possible. And it could be hiding in your home right now. The secret is not just about the year. It's about the minting mistakes, the anomalies, the once-in-a-million mechanical slip-ups that turned an ordinary coin into a millionaire maker. These aren't just coins. They're time capsules, hidden treasures, silent jackpots that could change your financial life forever. Let's go back to 1979. Gas was 86 cents a gallon. The Walkman had just hit store shelves. And in the quiet, unassuming Denver Mint facility, a handful of pennies were struck with errors so rare, so bizarre, that they slipped through inspection and ended up in circulation. Not behind glass cases, but in the open wild, slipping into pockets, passing through vending machines, and now, maybe resting in a coffee can in your garage. So what makes the 1979 D Lincoln penny such a valuable coin? The answer lies in the mint mark, yes, but it's deeper than that. Some of these pennies were struck with what's known as a broad strike error, others with a double die obverse. These terms might sound like coin collector jargon, but they're the DNA of wealth in the numismatic world. A broad strike means the coin wasn't properly centered in the press, giving it a stretched, strange appearance. A double die obverse? That's when the coin's design was stamped twice. Overlapping images, letters, or numbers that look like ghostly shadows. And here's where it gets thrilling. The rarer the error and the better the condition, the higher the price. One pristine 1979 D Lincoln penny with a full red luster, no wear, and a jaw-dropping double die obverse recently fetched over $500,000 at auction. Imagine handing that over at a gas station for a stick of gum. It's not just a penny. It's a hidden check with a six-figure payout. Now, you might be wondering, could I really have one of these? Is this another too-good-to-be-true story? Let me ask you this. How many times have you ignored a penny? Flicked it away? Tossed it in a tip jar? We've been trained to undervalue them. But in the world of rare coins, overlooking the ordinary is the biggest mistake of all. Every day, Americans unknowingly give away wealth in change jars, estate sales, and Facebook marketplace listings. Collectors and savvy coin dealers know this. That's why they hunt. That's why they study die rotations, rim anomalies, and doubling in the words, "In God we trust." And that's why a retired postal worker from Kansas turned a 3-cent thrift store find into a $138,000 sale. You see, this isn't just about coins. It's about knowing where to look, what to look for, and how to act before someone else beats you to it. Because here's the kicker. As more people catch on, these rare coins are vanishing. Sold. Collected. Locked away. Now's the time to act. Not next year. Not when you finally clean the garage. Right now. You could be holding a small fortune without knowing it. But the market waits for no one. Every day, a coin is found, and another disappears forever into a private collection. So how do you know if your 1979 D penny is the one? Start with the details. Look for a clean, crisp D mint mark, low and slightly to the right. Examine the word Liberty. If it looks doubled or shadowed, you may have struck gold, or rather copper. Feel the rim. If it's uneven or missing detail, it could be a broad strike. And the condition? That's everything. Coins with original red luster, graded MS65 or higher, command the most staggering prices. But even worn examples with errors can net you hundreds or thousands. Still skeptical? That's okay. So was a Florida school teacher, until she found one in her late father's drawer and walked away with $42,000. And just when you think the story can't get any more unbelievable, there's one more twist. There are rumors, whispers in the collector community of a 1979 D Lincoln penny with a triple die obverse. A coin so rare, so far undiscovered that experts believe if it surfaces in pristine condition, it could break the $1 million mark. Could that one be sitting in a forgotten box in your attic right now? Here's what I suggest you do next.
Day.
Search. Check every 1979 penny you come across. Use a magnifying glass. Use your phone camera if you need to zoom in. Every tiny detail matters, because the difference between a common coin and a life-changing one could be a hairline crack or a microscopic shift in lettering. And if you think this is just about money, think again. This is about opportunity, legacy, turning dust into dollars. This is about reclaiming what so many people throw away without a second glance. It's about beating the odds in a system that tells you wealth is only for the elite. So, as you reach for that pile of coins in your drawer tonight, ask yourself, what if one of them isn't just a penny? What if it's your $1 million miracle waiting to be discovered? The search starts now. Don't let it slip through your fingers.